I'm pretty confident. I'm really confident I'm starting really early because adulthood is 18 and up. And that's a good 5 years to set up, get a good job, get a good understanding of real estate. And it just gives me, it's not a lot of time, but it's a good enough time to get everything set up, get everything understand, everything down, the business going. So by the time I'm 18, I'm ready to run smooth, having multiple deals coming in a month, making me passive income.
I love that goal and I love that aspiration. I think it's cool. Make sure to tie it to a why. Have a why for it that's deep enough, or else eventually that money goal will kind of like it'll always be ahead of you. You know, it's easy to have that be never ending. Um, but I'm curious with your mom being a finance manager, a finance guru. Um, have you seen the charts on compound interest already and amortization schedules?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
Oh,
yet.
I wish someone had showed me compound interest. I think I first saw that when I worked for a credit union, like when I was probably 21. And the first time I looked at compound interest on a chart, they called it the latte factor. Spend $5 a day on your latte. It's in my hand right now. It's like if you were to invest that money. And I was like, oh my gosh, my brain just exploded. Why did they not teach this in middle school? That's when you actually need to know it. Hey, friends, welcome back to another episode of the Carrot Cast podcast. I'm your host, Brady Winder, and it is Impact Month at Carrot. So go to carrot.com/impact. This month, we're talking all about how we're making an impact with our businesses and our lives. And on this episode, how we're making an impact within our families. And so I want to introduce y'all to my new friends I got to meet at a conference, at an event recently down in San Antonio, the Lopez family. So welcome, all welcome onto the Carrot Cast.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll let these guys introduce themselves. But we met. What was it at the time of recording this? A couple months back, in September at the Wholesaling Live event
Yeah.
in San Antonio. It's
All
awesome,
right.
awesome event. That
Yeah.
was so much fun. Charles and Mike, those guys. So I met at this event, and I could tell that these guys just had the hustle. It's funny. The motto of the event was "Turn up the hustle," and these guys have the hustle, the grit, the perseverance, and just some kindness. There's just something magic about these guys that made me want to talk to them. And they're doing business as a family. Christian, you're 13.
Yes, sir.
So y'all are doing deals, you're doing business as a family, you're integrating Christian into the business, and that's what we're going to be diving into on this podcast today is like kids in real estate. How, for our kids that are interested in learning the business, what does that look like? And so I wanted to bring them on this podcast just to share with some of y'all that have mentioned like, hey, how do I get my spouse involved, or how do I get my kids involved, or I want to build something that I can pass on to their kids. You might not even need to build a thing that you can pass on to them. You might be able to get them involved now. So I just want to kind of share their story with y'all and just give you guys some ideas of what that looks like and just dive into it. So anyways, I'll quit yapping. Let's go in a circle on my screen. We'll go Grisel, and then Christian, and then Johnny. Just tell me, who you are, what you do, maybe what you did just before this, how you get in real estate, and what your role is in the business, maybe.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm the director of operations and acquisitions manager for Flippin' Keys. I'm actually a financial advisor. And so this kind of fell hand in hand. Johnny's obviously been involved in real estate for a long time since childhood. And so I won't share his story, but he's been involved with real estate. He's always wanted me to get involved just because I have a history of building businesses. Prior to moving to Texas, I actually helped run and build a multi-million dollar aesthetic practice. And so from anything from implementing processes and systems and just kind of creating a structure, that's basically my specialty. And I did the same thing with my financial planning business. And so that's why Johnny was super excited that, I was getting involved with Flipping Keys because I'm helping him just really structure everything. That way there's a system. It's a repeatable process. That's one of the things I always tell everyone is in order to build success, you have to have a repeatable process. You can't change things every single day. And so that's what I'm trying to do now with Flipping Keys, just kind of help them trying to take it to the next level. So that way it's something that we can just keep doing over and over and over.
Okay, nice, nice. I like that background. What about you, Christian?
So for the keys, I'm the main data coordinator. So I'm the one pulling all the lists about the houses, the distressed properties, foreclosures. I'm pulling all those. I'm skip tracing them. Then I'm giving the leads to my parents. I'm going to start cold calling soon, and I'm hoping to close my first deal this month, November.
Nice. Rock and roll. I like it. What's up, Johnny?
All right. Yeah. I'm pretty much just the visionary guy here. I'm the one who, I've always been a businessman growing up. That's all I ever wanted to do is just have multiple streams of income and been around real estate since childhood, like Marcel mentioned. And I just wanted to take this to the next level now that, because we're originally from Illinois, we just moved here to Texas. And I said, once we get to Texas, I'm going to take this real estate thing to the next level and just go from there, seeing what happens. But in order to do that, I needed, I should say, I'm really happy to have my family involved with it full time now.
Yeah. Well, one, I think it's amazing you survived the move from Illinois to Texas because I used to live where y'all are at in San Antonio. It's freaking hot, especially coming from the land of snow. I don't know how you survived that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like Grisel, are you the rails for the business?
I mean, I would say so.
Okay. Usually it's like us visionaries, like all over shiny
Yeah.
object syndrome. We need people around us to try and keep that train moving in one direction instead of all over the place.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Johnny's
absolutely.
definitely the one with all the ideas. He's got all the good ideas. He's the one that comes up with, like you said, he's a visionary. He's a big picture thinker. And so I'm the person that once you tell me what you want to see and what you want to happen, I'm the one that's going to help you implement it and figure out what we need to do to get it there.
Yeah, I'm very
Nice.
strategic in everything I do. Like I said, I felt that this is something I've been wanting Grisel to get involved in this since even back in Illinois, and it took a lot of. I think just being here and just being around the people that I've been around, the network I'm around now, including Mike and Uncle Charles, it just opened her eyes to a different world of real estate. So that because of that reason, she's able to see the big picture and get involved. I'm excited for that.
I can't articulate how important it is to have people around you, a team around you, especially for people that want to be solopreneurs, think, oh, I can do this all on my own.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times those people are the visionaries that like their vision is too far ahead of what they can actually pull off by themselves. But I think it's so cool when you get the right team around you. In this case, your family, that's just super powerful. There's a lot of things I want to dive into with y'all. One first thing I wanted to ask is, Christian, what happened on stage at Wholesaling Live? I was in the back. I was at our little carrot booth outside, and one of the doors was cracked open. And all of a sudden, there was competition or something going on. And I look up, and they're like, "There's this 13-year-old kid on stage." And Robert from Investor Lift, the Investor Lift CEO, was talking about you. And there's like all this hullabaloo. Everyone's getting loud. It's like, what are like the high points of the event? Everyone's pumped up. I was out of the room at that point. What happened there? How'd you get on stage and what was going on?
So I'm pretty sure it was right after cold calling. Uncle Charles had noticed me. He's like, "Hey, how old are you?" I was like, "I'm 13. My name's Christian." Blah blah blah. And then right after that, he called me up on stage. He was like, "I want to give a big shout out to Christian, man. He's 13. He's out here hustling." And then he actually gave me his Allegiance and Alliance mentorship, which is several $1,000s already right there. I'm super grateful for Uncle Charles and Mike. They've been helping me out so much. I've been getting so much knowledge from them. When Wholesale Live was my first event, so I didn't really understand everything.
Yeah.
And now I'm understanding a lot more stuff. And
That's
then after
awesome.
that, Robert from Investor Lift came up and he gave me Investor Lift and he gave me I think it was a license. Together, that's a couple $1,000s. That's a big thing. And I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. So you have better exit strategies in place. You got buyers lists in place. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
RJ Bates even reached out to Christian as well after the event and invited him to the Crucible that he had out there in Dallas. Was it Dallas, Christian? Was it
Fort
Dallas?
Worth.
It was Fort Worth.
Yeah, Fort Worth.
And that was an awesome experience too. So we're super grateful for RJ Bates doing that.
RJ Bates too, yeah.
Was that after? So that was pretty recently then, RJ Bates event?
Yeah, it was about 2 weeks after in Fort Worth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What's it been like, Christian, coming into the world of wholesaling, investing? Is it a fire hose? So I know for a lot of people, like even just learning about the fact that wholesaling or creative finance, any one of these things exists, it just blows their mind. Like the average person is like, is this a scam? Is this legit? Has it been overwhelming, or you're like, okay, I get this. I could do this.
It kind of does. With the Allegiance and the Alliance, it's helped me a lot though, because when I first went in there again, I wasn't understanding everything. It was really confusing. But I slowly start studying more and more and more, and I'm understanding all the different things like sub two, wholesaling, hoteling, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. And everybody watching or listening, what Christian's talking about, a quick shout out to Uncle Charles and Mike. What's their website? Wholesalinglive.com. That's the event we're talking about. But Mike and Charles run that event, and they have an Allegiance mastermind and coaching program that they run out of San Antonio. So these guys have been in real estate for a long time, but awesome mentors, I take it. So that's what we're
Yeah,
talking about.
absolutely.
So before we dive into the weeds anymore, Johnny, give me some quick context on just kind of y'all's business model. What types of deals are you doing? What's your marketing look like? Yeah.
Well, when I first got here to Texas, I had no idea what wholesaling was, right?
Mm.
I just knew that, the traditional way of investing in real estate. And I started to educate myself more on the creative side. And I actually joined a different mentorship a while back and learned more on the creative side of the investing, of real estate investing. And I just wasn't really getting a lot of value out of that mentorship. And I ended up hooking up with Uncle Charles and Mike. And they just took it to another level. So right now, our main focus is, trying to buy and hold, doing a lot of creative finance strategies. But there was a lot of properties that I got that didn't fit my buy box, and I would just hand them off or just let them go. And it got to the point where, like, man, I didn't know I could make money off these deals that didn't fit my buy box, right? So I could have just assigned them to another investor. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's when I'm like, okay, that's what it's called, wholesaling. And I started learning more through Mike and Uncle Charles as well.
Okay.
So
what were some of those? Feel free to gloss over it as much as you want or as detailed as you want. But like, what were some of the deals, the leads that you were throwing away that were kind of outside your buy box?
there's a lot of pre-foreclosures. A lot of that was the first market that I was hitting, was the pre-foreclosures, and I was getting a lot of them. I mean, people that just wanted to get out. They wanted to get out of their situation, and unfortunately, they just didn't fit my criteria. So there was nothing I could do for them, and I felt bad. I was like, man, I wish there was something I could do for them. And now I'm just like, oh shoot, this whole time I could have just hooked them to somebody else. But hey, that's a learning process. And now that we know that, obviously we've known it for a while now, but now that we know that strategy, we just incorporate. Okay, well, now we're just incorporate wholesaling into our strategy.
Yeah, a little bit bittersweet. You're like, oh man, those deals that we missed out on, but hey, at least we won't lose them in the future.
Yeah, absolutely not.
What are you guys doing for marketing right now? I know you just started with Carrot since Wholesaling Live, so we're super happy to have you on Carrot. So not really into SEO, online marketing much yet. Are you guys cold calling, doing direct mail? Where are you getting your leads?
Christian is pulling up the leads on tax foreclosures and right, tax delinquents and the pre-foreclosures, and we're also getting our leads through LeadZolo now.
Okay. What's that like? What's LeadZolo like? Because I haven't talked to a lot of people about LeadZolo, the pay-per lead service.
I mean, just in Wholesale Live, we got a deal. I mean, that list. I
didn't know that. I didn't know you guys closed a deal at the event.
Yeah. So at that, I had more answers and more people that wanted to sell the property through LeadZolo than any other strategy that we were using at the time so far, right? And so now, after we joined Crucible, right, we went to Crucible. We were able to get 10,000. So we're about to get how many leads? 10 leads, something like that for
1,000.
For like 1,000. So we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to buy like 40 leads and go from there just to get the ball rolling.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. It sounds, it's great to have some of those things like the high quality leads, like LeadZolo, when you're trying to get some of the inbound marketing cranking, ones you could just hit up and close a deal like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's getting real difficult right now to call anyone, cold call anyone. We're still going to pull the list, and what we're going to do is we're going to hire virtual assistants to make the calls for the cold calling from now on, because there's a lot of people getting sued right now for making these calls for disturbing these people. And it's been all over the internet this past week. I've seen people posting it all over saying, hey, these attorneys are buying properties just so when you call them, they can just put a lawsuit on you. So we got to be very cautious on how we attack that strategy now.
Yeah, cold call and text specifically too. Text messages get a lot more difficult right now. I think we're going to be seeing, I work for Carrot, so I'm biased, but I think we're going to be seeing a lot more people starting like, okay, I think I'll finally start doing the SEO, playing the long game, because some of the outbound ones are getting harder.
Yeah, just from networking too, we get a lot of deals. Just wearing our shirts, just our brand. I mean, we walk
Mm,
into a network event and people are wondering, hey, who are these guys? And being new to Texas and to San Antonio, we already got a real big network out here. They're starting to recognize who we are out here, and we're making
yeah.
our presence known.
And you guys are in a great market. I mean, San Antonio, I didn't realize. So I grew up, for anyone listening, probably don't know this. I grew up on an Air Force base just outside San Antonio on Randolph, and spent combined a good number of years in San Antonio. But you guys have, was it 5 bases? And so there's people constantly going in and out, big city, but it hasn't gotten crazy expensive yet, like maybe a Dallas or Austin or some of the larger markets. It seems like it's pretty healthy market for investing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, some people think it's saturated, and it may seem that way, right? But there's a lot of people out here that are getting to wholesaling that um, they just sometimes they don't know what they're doing. I hate to say that, and not that
Mm.
I know everything, right? Um, but San Antonio is a huge market. But the thing is, we also look around the surrounding areas of San Antonio. You got, you know, even like from here to Austin, we got Buda, we got Kyle, we got San Marcos, we got Cibolo. Is that how you pronounce it? So
Yeah.
I
Civil,
got a
yeah.
lot of, yeah. So we're looking at all these other areas, Canyon Lake. So yeah, we're hitting all the surrounding areas as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of times we could think it's more saturated than it actually is.
Hmm.
Yeah, and there's so many different niches and areas to get into and different types of investing. Thinking, oh, well, there's X number of investors in San Antonio. It's like, well, what if a lot of them just started wholesaling or don't even know about wholesaling like you before you
Yeah.
moved to San
Right.
Antonio?
Yep.
Might not even be competition at all.
Hmm.
Yeah. So Christian, tell me about what made you want to get involved with the business. What did you see that you're like, maybe I should be a part of this?
So my dad first introduced me to real estate about a month or two before Wholesaling Live, actually. And I mean, I thought it was cool, but I just didn't think I could do it. I thought it was like too much work and I'm too young. I don't understand. Just excuses. And then he showed me Mike and how he's really successful and Uncle Charles really successful. They have a whole office. Mike drives expensive cars and all this stuff. Just a whole bunch of fancy stuff. And I was like, wow, he can do that just doing this? I was like,
Hmm.
what if I could do that? What if I could do that? What if I could have 10 times that by the time I'm 20 or 30?
Yeah.
And my dad told me about Wholesaling Live and how it's a huge thing and it's a lot of people going there. And it'd be really good for me to start off.
What was the light bulb moment? Because you said you didn't think I could do this. Um, what was it being in person around other people closing deals? Was it the cold calling, or was it being in the mentorship? What was the thing that made you go, okay, this is attainable for me? Because I can relate to you, like, oh, other people can do that, but maybe not me. Maybe it's too difficult. What changed it?
The main thing was, I think it was like just being there and seeing like Mike, he pulled up in a Lamborghini and Uncle
That'll do it.
Charles. Yeah, all of them are all these super successful people. Most of the success comes from just real estate. And that's one of my main focus right now. And I was like, wow, I could do this.
Interesting. That's really cool. Yeah, I hear you, because it's different. A lot of times, like, you come across a course or a thing online or a blog post about it, it's like, okay, that's nice. But I think once you see the person in the lane, or you see them actually doing the business, that's what I love about the Wholesaling Live event, is that they're actually closing deals at the event. It completely it takes away any of that disbelief or skepticism about it. Like, they're doing it right there in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and I
super cool.
think that's it's human nature, right? It's our natural response. We tend to gravitate towards things that we know, things that we're comfortable with. And so when we come across something that we're not familiar, we're like, oh, wait, maybe no, I don't know how to do that. And that's exactly what I went through as well. When Johnny was first trying to get me involved with real estate, it was something I didn't know. And so I thought, oh, you know what? It's not for me. I got my thing going. I'm working full time. I'm building these businesses because I just wasn't familiar with real estate. I didn't
Mm,
know what to do. And so I think for me, when he talked about Wholesaling Live and both of them were going to Wholesaling Live, I thought, okay, well, I can go too. And so I went, and as I watched everything, as they walked us through all the processes, as they told us, everything we needed to do, that's when, I realized, like, wow, this is not as hard as I was making it out to be. And I feel like, again, that's just it's our mindset, right? And that's one of the things
yeah.
I talk to a lot of people about. It's all about mindset, being comfortable with the uncomfortable, because the more you start learning, the easier it's going to be. And the more confidence that you're going to have in yourself. But if you never try, then you're obviously never going to succeed in something if you're not even giving it a shot.
Hmm. Okay, so you and Christian, Grisel, you and Christian said something kind of similar. Getting into wholesale and getting real estate can be massively overwhelming. Like there's so many aspects of it to learn about. It's like even just the term like real estate investing is just so ambiguous. So many nuances. Do you feel like you could have, started partnering with Johnny and helping on this operation without the mentorship?
Um, I'm sure it would have been harder. I mean, there's so many resources out there like YouTube. I mean, Mike and Uncle Charles themselves post a lot of content on their social media and on YouTube. And so I'm sure maybe I could have figured it out. Would it have taken me a whole lot longer? Absolutely. And so being part of the mentorship and, participating in the alliance and the allegiance and just taking in all the knowledge that they gave us and obviously just taking a bunch of notes and studying, that's what really makes us understand it a whole lot easier. And
Hmm.
that's what makes our confidence increase. The more you know, the more confident you're going to be. And the more confident you are, the better result you're going to get because it's all about you believing in yourself. And so I
Yeah.
absolutely think that the mentorship was huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to add that a lot of people, they're always thinking these mentorships are like, hey, they want to be self-made or whatever the case may be. I had a shop in Illinois, and I did a lot of custom paint fabrication, a lot of suspension work, and I actually for the custom paint side, I actually went to get mentorship. I went and traveled and learned from some of the best painters in the world just so
Mm.
I can cut my learning curve in half because time is money, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, you can waste that time making all these mistakes. Those mistakes can be costly. So you're either going to pay for those mistakes or you're going to pay for the mentorship. That way you could, cut that
Mm.
time, that learning curve in half for one, and two, um, be able to possibly make money faster and not make those costly mistakes, right? I'd rather pay that money on mentorship and avoid making those costly mistakes with having somebody like Uncle Charles and Mike that have your
Yeah.
back. You know what I mean?
That's a great way to look at it. That's a fantastic perspective. I mean, you have the actual mistake. So, like, losing out on a deal or blowing money on marketing that you should have blown your money on. But then you also have the opportunity cost. Like, I think that's a great analogy. I mean, that's not an analogy, it's a real life example of like being a painter. It's like, guys will think I'm just going to do this all myself and spend 20 years to get to that skill level of like high detailed custom shop stuff as opposed to, yeah, I wouldn't even thought of that, getting a mentorship for like auto body and custom auto work. That's
Yeah.
cool. Um, Grisel, what's it actually like trying to get these guys together and keep that train on the rails? What's it like working as a family? What's the good, bad, and the ugly of this?
I mean, it's a lot of fun, right? I feel like working as a family, we tend to stress each other out a little bit more than when it's not the family. But I think it's just because we care so much because it's our family, it's our livelihood, it's our business. And so no one cares more than the owners, right? And so if it was, me with someone else, then I feel like the dynamic is a little different. We're very real with each other. And
Mm.
I think sometimes that's to our demise, right? We sometimes
Mhm.
fight a little bit more than maybe we should, but that's okay because, again, it's just more about being passionate. And it's awesome to be able to say, hey, we're going to go look at a deal and we're all going together. Hey, we're going to work on these leads and we're all sitting there doing it together versus feeling like, hey, I'm building somebody else's business, I'm losing time away from my family. Whereas when you're working with your family, it's nice because you're all doing it together as a team, and you get to watch each other grow. And it's nice when it's your own family that's growing.
Yeah, it sounds like that trust would be, I feel like, one of the most beneficial things. Like if you're aligned as a family, you have the same vision. I think that's a lot of teams. That's one of the things that a lot of teams and businesses struggle with is like being able to just be raw and real with someone. I think
Yeah.
that's beautiful because you can cut what would take like 50 emails back and forth or all these sidestepping conversations and just cut straight to it. Be like, call someone on this. Like, hey, I see this, you're doing this. Can we change it? Like, let's get aligned here instead of all this minutia back and forth. Do you feel like that's an advantage you guys have?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like because we're family, we already know each other's strengths and weaknesses. Whereas
Hmm.
when you're working as a team, you're trying to figure out what somebody's strengths are. And so, Johnny and I being together for 15 years, I know what he's strong at. He knows what I'm strong in. Christian, we've known him for 13 years. And so we already know some of the skills that he's developing, and we know where there's opportunity for him to continue to grow. And so that's where we try to focus on him. Like, hey, let's focus on this. Let's try to strengthen your communication skills. Let's try to strengthen your organization skills. So trying to help him develop his skills. That way, by the time he's 18, by the time he's 21, 25, he's way further than Johnny and I ever could have been when we were his age.
Yeah, we're trying to teach them the things that we were never taught, and a lot of things that people do not even think about teaching their children. How to be financially responsible, how to make strategic decisions. Right there, look at the pros and cons of everything you're going to do when you get involved in something. Look at the exit strategies. Like, just kind of educate him as much as possible with as much as what we know, and then bringing in, like I said, people like Uncle Charles and Mike and anyone that has influence in that specific area that we're, like Brissel, financial advisor, right? She teaches him all about how to, how do you say it? Strategically invest his money in
Yeah.
whatever it is, like his finances, how to separate his play money from his saving money from his so on and so on, right?
Yeah.
We talk to him like he's an adult. And so, for example, that's one of the things I always tell everyone is, even my clients as a financial advisor, I tell people, talk to your kids, have those money conversations. Money conversations are a taboo subject that people, for whatever reason, don't want to discuss. But that's why America is the way they are. Majority of Americans don't save as well as they could. It's not because they necessarily don't want to, it's because they don't know how. And that's because people weren't having financial conversations with them as children or growing up. And so we'll have open conversations with our kids about everything, whether it's about money, whether it's about puberty, whether it's about whatever, anything. We have an open dialogue with regard to any topic that comes up, because we want them to know that, one, it's okay to come talk to us about anything. We're never going to get upset with them for asking questions, but we also want them to be very well aware and very educated, and that way they can make great decisions as they continue to grow and get into adulthood.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm like just now. So my oldest son is 9, and then we have a 8-month-old. I'm just now like starting to have financial conversations with my son and my wife. We downloaded the Greenlight app that my coworker Braden told me about. Super awesome, like budgeting app for kids. It's really cool. Click the link in the description for the affiliate. I'm just kidding. No. It's a really good app, and it helps see your kids manage their money. But like, I can give them allowance automatically, and then it automatically puts it into savings and spending. And so I'm just starting to have those conversations, and it's great for me because it's forcing me, it's inspiring me to become better at some of those things. Like, I can't just tell them what to do. I actually have to live it out. And it's like, well, how much do you guys save? What are you doing with this? It's like, oh man, okay, I gotta walk the talk now.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And you guys, for some context for the audience, you guys are a homeschool family. How many other kids do you guys have? How big is the family total?
We have
I have
5
two.
kids.
Yeah, 5 kids. I have 2 older kids, a 20-year-old and a 18-year-old that live in East Texas with their mom. And then we have Christian Elijah, who's 8, and he actually is learning real estate as well. Just want to throw it out there. He's learning. He wants to get involved so bad. So you got Elijah, he's 8, and then we got my 4-year-old little girl, Sophia.
Oh, that's awesome. Congrats. That's cool. So have y'all been homeschooling the whole time?
No, actually, we started homeschooling after we moved to Austin because Christian, being the new kid on the block, started getting bullied. And so he's trained in martial arts since he was 2.5. He started in Taekwondo. When he went to kindergarten, he started getting bullied. And so we switched from Taekwondo to Jiu-Jitsu because Taekwondo is more of a non-contact sport. And so we wanted him to be able to defend himself. And that's another thing that sometimes we get a little pushback from with people is we always teach our kids, never start a fight, but you defend yourself. We never want our kids to ever be in that victim mentality. And that's what Johnny and I always told ourselves is when we have kids, our kids will never be victims. They will never have that victim mindset. They will always be confident. We'll always put them in power positions so that they feel good about themselves. And so that's why we put him in jiu-jitsu. And so when we moved to Austin, unfortunately, the bullying started again because, again, he was the new kid on the block.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got into 7th grade, the first day of school, 5 kids tried to jump him. And so the school didn't do anything about it. They said, what do you expect us to do? I said, I expect you to get the parents involved. And the principal's response was, it's not my job to get the parents here. And so at that point, I'm like, you know what, let's give me whatever paperwork we need to unenroll him. And right away, within the next week, we started homeschooling him. And so that gave him the ability to train in martial arts full time. Actually, that was his first job. He started working there. He was there 12 hours a day. And so he trained, he worked there, and he did his schoolwork there. And so he loved it.
let me throw in real quick. This kid, I'm telling you, he's not like any other kid I ever met. And I'm not just saying that because he's my son. I
Please
mean, he's
do. I've
got,
been waiting for I was waiting for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to come into the conversation. I was waiting for it. So I'm glad you brought it up. Go ahead.
So I've been training mixed martial arts for a very long time. All right. And Christian, he would wake up what time? 4:30, 5:30 in the morning?
4:45 in the morning.
4:45 in the morning. He'd get his lunch. All right. So every night he'd get his stuff ready, right? As far as clothes, wash them, do whatever he's got to do. He'd get up about 4:00, 4:45, whatever the case may be, and get his lunch, all his meals ready for the day. She would drop him off at 6:00 in the morning. The kid would train, do schoolwork, and work a couple hours a day until about 6:30, 7:00 at night every day for the whole year. Yeah, he was working. He was training full time, like a professional fighter. Pretty much is what he was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, he would do the ice baths. He would do the sauna. Like he would do all that stuff. I mean, he would actually sit there in the ice baths, like a lot of people won't even consider doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's a strong kid, man. He's a strong-minded kid. I don't think there's anything that can break him, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, that's cool that you guys have that flexibility, to be able to homeschool and do that. It makes everything else, I was going to say easier, but really possible.
It all boils down to the discipline.
Yeah. I can't relate to, I haven't been jumped by 5 kids at once, but I have been the new kid many times. My dad was Air Force. We moved around a lot. I was a new kid at school. I hate that feeling. I hated being the new kid, especially when the school's like way different. You don't fit in, like, you're the oddball out. I have a couple questions. What's it feel like having those skills under your belt now, versus before, like on from getting picked on at school to having the discipline of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under your belt?
It just gives me, I feel a lot more confident because, like, if I wasn't gonna fight, back then I'd be nervous, like, oh, am I gonna win? What am I gonna do if his friend comes over? If it's 2 or 3 of them. Now, again, I still don't want to fight unless I have to, but I feel a lot more confident if I was gonna fight. I feel like I could defend myself a lot easier. I feel like I just have a lot more under my belt.
Not to mention, he doesn't only do jiu-jitsu, he also does MMA, kickboxing, so he does training striking as well. So those other guys thinking that, jiu-jitsu is not always going to work. Well, he's pretty well-rounded as a fighter.
I've never asked this on the podcast, Christian, but what's the sickest move you ever put on someone?
I don't know. I've been training a couple years. There's some cool moves. I can't remember all of them. But right now I'm working. There's a whole bunch of flying moves. I think those are some of the coolest ones.
Flying moves?
Yeah, it's like you jump and you wrap your legs around them and you choke them.
In the
like
neck?
A flying triangle, yeah.
Yeah.
Triangle. How do you get your legs up to someone's neck level? You
It's
only
really
pick fights
hard.
with short people?
It's really hard. That's the main one I'm working on right now.
Okay, I want to see that in action Sunday. We'll put a link to your Instagram, if that's okay, in the show notes, so people can see some of your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu moves, because I legit want to see that. Maybe on the next time we have you on the podcast, we'll do that on the podcast. Just pull the camera back out so we can see it happen.
Maybe he should try it on you, Brady.
I don't know if I can defend. I could run really fast. I'm a runner. Okay, so I got that.
He's only 13 and he rolls he rolls with adults. He doesn't really roll with anybody, like any kids or anything like that. I mean, his age, there's a couple of guys that train with him that are maybe like 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. Everyone else are adults, so he trains with adults. He doesn't really train.
Even then, the only kids are my age. They're 17, 16, and then there's a 15-year-old. There's no 13, 12. Everybody's a lot older than me.
So one thing I was going to ask you, Christian, kind of on that note of peers, is like, what's it like? Kind of, what's your view of like other kids your age? Is it harder, like having some of this success, and really even forget the success, but just the mindset and the discipline level that you have? Does it make it harder to relate to other kids your age, or is it kind of boring?
I wouldn't say it's boring, but it's kind of hard to relate because most kids, like, I love training. Training's everything to me. That's one of the most important things in my life. Family, training, and money. But with most kids, instead of training or working out or doing things that will better themselves or help them be successful in life, most kids want to, oh, let's play video games, or oh, let's go to the park, or oh, let's go watch a movie, or do this and that, which that's cool to do. But my main focus is, again, trying to better myself and have a very successful and good future.
Do you feel like you still have, I was going to say as much fun. I don't think that's important. Do you feel like you have the amount of fun that you need in your life when you're looking at other kids like, oh, I'm just playing video games all day?
Yeah, I think because yeah, I'm still training. Training is probably one of the most fun things to do. Like it's my favorite thing to do, and I'm still training. I'm not training 12 hours a day, but I'm still training a good 2 to 3, and
Yeah.
so that makes me super happy.
That sounds like
Yeah.
a blast.
And then during the day too, with homeschool, I'm home with my parents all day, so like I can take a little break, mess with them, and then we can work. It's just a lot more fun being in school all day, sitting in a chair, being silent.
So one thing I tell Christian is that, your childhood is like this. Let's say this is your age gap, right? Between, your kid 5 years old to about 18 years old. And, you have fun, right? Then you have your adulthood, which is like, 20, 30, 40 years. I'm like, you want to struggle. Like, I'd rather him, struggle until he's about 18, 20, maybe 25. And then, enjoy his adulthood, not have to, I want him to be set. I don't want him to worry about trying to get the bills paid. Not, how am I going to take care of my children? How am I going to do this? I want to set him up for success. And I feel like if he doesn't mind sacrificing, going out with his friends on the weekends and stuff like that, so he can, work or train or do whatever the case, whatever it is that he wants to do, then I think he's going to enjoy his adulthood a lot more, which to me, I think that's where all the fun's at anyways,
But
Yeah.
also, just to clarify, it's not like he's the slave boy where he's sitting in an office working 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to, I feel like they're painting that picture. No, I
Yeah.
mean, he works, he's got a schedule. We built out a schedule for him because that's another thing that I always talk about as far as discipline, having a structured schedule that you live by. And so getting up at X amount of time, knowing exactly what you're going to work on, what task you're going to work on at what time. And then that way you can be done in time for training. And then you can, he will come home from training. We get home at like 9 p.m. and he'll maybe play video games for an hour, or on the weekends, like he still plays, like he's got his friends that come over and spend the night. And so he still has a lot of fun. It's just, it's not 90% fun. He's got a lot of hustle and, a lot of discipline, a lot of things he gets done other than just hanging out.
Well, I'm kind of personally inspired by that because I'm a huge advocate of making sure that kids have enough time to be kid. I say advocate like I talk to other people about this. I don't. I just, me and my personal life with my kids, I'm like, I want to make sure that they have enough time to be kids before adulthood just crushes their soul, at 18, start paying bills and insurance and the cell phone bill and all these things on their own. And so I'm really appreciating this just as like a little bit more of a balance in the other direction of like, okay, but not so much fun that we forget to prepare our kids for reality, because like the world is hard. And if you come into 16, 18 years old with this mindset of like this balance of I spend 90% of my time just having fun, it's like that's a hard transition coming out of high school.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that transition, you guys are at least making that a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we learned the hard way, right? Johnny and I had, we had our struggles when we were first becoming adults. And obviously we didn't know each other when we were 17, 18. But I moved out of my house when I was 17 and I didn't know any better. I didn't know how to handle my finances. I didn't know. I just thought, okay, I'm on my own. And okay, now I got to start paying bills and I got to start doing this. And, I started working when I was 15 years old. So I was already familiar with that. But again, putting Christian in a position where he knows to save, he knows to invest, he knows how much he should put aside for fun money, he knows how much he should allocate towards living expenses as he get older. That way, when he is older, it doesn't come as a big shock factor. He already knows what to expect and he already knows how to handle it, because the best way to plan for success is to talk through it and set the expectations and plan for it. And so we want to make sure that he's in that position by the time he does reach adulthood and he is on his own.
That's awesome. Christian, how confident do you feel about like launching into, I feel like you're already there, kind of are launching or did launch, but like, how do you feel about launching into quote unquote adulthood, whatever that means?
I'm pretty confident. I'm really confident I'm starting really early because adulthood is 18 and up. And that's a good 5 years to set up, get a good job, get a good understanding of real estate. And it just gives me, it's not a lot of time, but it's a good enough time to get everything set up, get everything understand, everything down, the business going. So by the time I'm 18, I'm ready to run smooth, having multiple deals coming in a month, making me passive income.
I love that goal and I love that aspiration. I think it's cool. Make sure to tie it to a why. Have a why for it that's deep enough, or else eventually that money goal will kind of like, it'll always be ahead of you. It's easy to have that be never ending. But I'm curious, with your mom being a finance manager, a finance guru, have you seen the charts on compound interest already and amortization schedules?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh,
yet.
I wish someone had showed me compound interest. I think I first saw that when I worked for a credit union, like when I was probably 21. And the first time I looked at compound interest on a chart, they called it the latte factor. Spend $5 a day on your latte. It's in my hand right now. It's like if you were to put, invest that money. And I was like, oh my gosh, my brain just exploded. Why did they not teach this in middle school? That's when you actually need to know it.
I don't think he realizes it, but when we first moved to Texas, he had the job of babysitting his little brother and sister while I worked because Johnny was still living up north as we were transitioning. And so I was paying him. And, he saved up $2,000 that summer as an 11-year-old. He had $2,000. And, I kind of went through with him, like, what do you want to do with this money? He's like, oh, I want to spend it. I want to do this. And then I showed him the investment calculator. And so I said, well, if you take this $2,000 and you actually invest it, look how much money you'll have in 5 years and in 10 years and in 15 and in 20 years. And so then I asked him again, like, okay, now what do you want to do with it? He's like, I want to invest it. And so obviously that was a proud moment for me. But I think that that's something that, again, I talk through with him because I want him to understand that, yeah, if you invest a little bit of time starting at age 15, 16, even at 18, even a 21-year-old, that's another bucket of money that you're going to have because just like we want to be really diverse with our real estate portfolio, we want to be diverse with our income and where we have our buckets of money. And so that's what we want to teach him, the same thing.
That's awesome. We're getting close to time here. One thing I wanted to ask y'all before we wrap it up is, and anyone or all y'all feel free to answer, but what are some of the simple things that y'all do in your family that you might forget about or take for granted? Like some of the habits and disciplines that y'all are doing that kind of let you live this lifestyle. You talked about discipline. I know that's a broad, hard to answer question. You talked about like having disciplines, like waking up early, like Christian, you're waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning, homeschool, being intentional about money conversations. Is there anything else you feel like that you're doing that maybe some of us just forget about?
I think it's just speaking positivity into each other because I think it's easy to have bad moments and suddenly believe that you can't do it. Or if a deal falls through, suddenly you think you're a failure or whatever that might happen. I think that our thought process and our mindset is something that we don't spend enough time, on average, we don't spend enough time thinking about or being intentional with. And, Johnny and I were just having this conversation this morning about how we listen to podcasts every single day. Every morning when I get up and I'm getting ready, I'm listening to a podcast. When he's getting ready, he's in the shower, he's listening to a podcast. Christian listens
always
to
the carrot cast, right? Only
Always.
the carrot cast every day. Just clarifying. Sorry, go ahead.
And so I think that's something that we take for granted because we don't realize how important it is. And then it just gives us a sudden, a shift in our mindset. That's something that we need. That way we can believe in ourselves.
Yeah. Right. I think everybody needs that. It's easy to say like when you're successful that, oh, no, you just got, it's all about just doing it. It's okay. We get it. Yeah. You have to take action. But when you grow up in with a family or the environment of people always, no one around you is successful. Everyone doubts your dreams. And anytime you talk about your goals, they shut it down or whatever the case may be, even your family. It's hard to be that, oh, let's just do it, right? Because they put that fear in you of, okay, you're going to fail. What are you doing? And getting that mindset to where, watching those podcasts, listening to some inspirational videos or whatever the case may be, to get your mind going to believe that, hey, you know what, I can do that. Watching someone else do it, someone painting the picture for you, I'm using Mike again as an example. Mike doing everything that I wanted to do, and it's working, right? So why can't I do it? Right. Anyone can do it. You just got to apply yourself. And sometimes we need those podcasts and sometimes we need those books. Sometimes we need those audio books to listen to in order to make those right choices, to take that action.
Yeah. And I think most importantly, like just to reiterate what you already just said, Johnny, is like, we need people. We need real human beings, like people, relationships that we trust in our life to tell us, hey, you can do that. It's like one of the things that just kind of like irks me sometimes is is feeling like some entrepreneurs or coaches will talk to everyone as if everybody is on a level playing field. And like, it's true. Maybe anybody can do this business. Like a lot of people are capable of doing it, but we don't all start at a level playing field. Some of us had people in our lives that spoke positivity and life and encouragement and hope in us. And some of us have had the exact opposite spoken into our lives. People being told that you can't do anything, you're not good for anything, and so we don't all start on a level playing field. So I think having that is just huge, and that y'all are able to raise Christian or other kids in that environment that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, even when Christian first started posting about real estate, one of his friends commented and kind of laughed and told Christian, my family and I laugh at real estate investors. And so obviously it hurt his feelings because it was a friend of his. But again, that was a good learning experience. It's like, son, this is what the world is like. Some people will try to steal your vision. They'll try to steal your dreams by making you feel like it's nothing and making you feel like you're not good enough or making you feel like you're going to fail. And why are you wasting your time? Surround yourself with people that are going to encourage you and uplift you and help you dream big versus trying to take everything away from you. So Christian, he's learning at a young age.
What do you do with that? Like, how did you respond to that?
It didn't. It bothered me, and I got over it pretty quick. And I just used that as motivation. Like, oh, these guys are doubting me. Wait till they see me successful with all these awesome cars and houses and being able to take care of my family.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I get that. It's like I don't think personally I'm motivated to prove people wrong per se. I try not to let that motivate me, but I do like just like having the surprise element of like, hey, look where I'm at. I don't know, maybe that's the same thing. But yeah, I could appreciate that. Yeah. Cool. Anything else you want people to know? Anything you guys wish people would know, or anything else you guys do in your family you want to talk about?
I mean, we're all pretty much mixed martial arts and real estate right now, I think, for the most part. Mixed martial arts and real estate is pretty much all we do. And we're really positive minded people. We have our moments, obviously, just like anybody else. I think the transition to Illinois, and then from Illinois to South Austin, then from South Austin to San Antonio put a lot of stress on us. But just being here in San Antonio, it's crazy. We didn't even want to move to San Antonio. I always said I never wanted to move to San Antonio. And look at us, we're here. I think that's, I always say that's God's plan. I mean, the people that we're surrounded with here, the people I've met here in San Antonio, the network that I have here in San Antonio, all the success that we're having already here in San Antonio is just, I feel like God's plan is better than mine. Right. And I think as long as you have something that you believe in and a structure and some type of system, I feel like, you can just accomplish anything. I'm truly grateful just for everything that's been going on. I mean, even being on this podcast, I think we're truly grateful for it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like what you said about that, and I think it's funny. Well, and you get like way cheaper breakfast tacos and way better breakfast tacos in San Antonio than anywhere else. Well, I can't even, dude. I'm in Roseburg, Oregon. I'm in Southern Oregon. I can't even get a breakfast taco, even if I wanted to. But I love what you said about like sometimes God's plan is better than your plan. I don't think I've ever shared this. I'll share this really quick story on the podcast. I've never really had a reason to, but kind of like you were saying, you said you'd never moved to San Antonio. I used to live, my wife and I lived in Portland before this. And then before that, Austin as well. We used to live off of 183 in Duval in Austin, across from the Domain, before it got expensive. We're paying like $600 a month for a one bedroom. That's probably $2,500 a month. I don't even want to know what rent is, in that area right now. It's crazy. Anyways, we went from Austin to Portland. I'm a musician, spent a lot of time around bands, and like I needed a music scene to be in, and I felt like I needed or had to have like this like thriving huge city. I felt like I needed to live there, and grew up an Air Force brat, military brat. So we were moving. That doesn't mean I have a bad attitude for y'all that didn't grow up in the military. That just means that's just what you call it. We moved every couple of years. Anyways, we're in Portland, and I said, I will never move to Roseburg. And my wife is from Roseburg, and she grew up here. She was raised here. And I was like, that little podunk town. I'm almost embarrassed to say that. I feel like it's offensive to the people that live here, So I'll never move to a little podunk town. I can't do that. And then after a while, I was kind of at like rock bottom, like a really low point in my life in Portland. I was like, you know what? I'm willing to do whatever. We need change. We need something. We need to do something different. So, we started talking about like moving to Roseburg, and I was like, God, I did not want to move to Roseburg. And so I finally settled on like, maybe temporarily, maybe I'll just like go to community college, get a degree, like do something. And this was 8 or 9 years ago now. A lot of things have changed, but I was like, maybe temporarily. And so my wife and I were talking about it. Her parents were here. We had our first kid. We had no family on either side in Portland. And so I said, okay, you know what? I will move to Roseburg temporarily under one condition. I said, I've never, I don't know, I said, I've never prayed for like a literal sign from God or anything. I'm a Christian, so I have this faith. And so if anyone listening can't relate to that, then I'm sorry. Just skip the story. It might not be valuable for you. But I said, I've always thought like praying for a sign or something is pretty cheesy. And I've never prayed like that. I thought it was kind of weird. Like like God has to prove himself to us. So I said, okay, God, show me an obvious sign that I should move to Roseburg, and I'll do it. And under that only condition, I didn't even know if I was like allowed to do that. So I did that. And then the next day I'm coming, I kid you not, is it either the next day or sometime that week, like within a matter of days, I'm coming home from work, working at a call center out west of Portland. And I take this different route home, and I'm driving by this this little suburb that I've driven past like a million times. And then I look to the right for like no reason. I look out the window and I see this sign, street sign. It says Roseburg Avenue. And I was like, no freaking way.
Wow, that's crazy.
It said Roseburg Avenue. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And one part of my brain, I'm like, that's incredible. That's amazing. And then I was like instantly like, oh no.
Yeah, now you gotta move.
I gotta move to Roseburg. I was like, I can't make this stuff up. That's what happened.
Funny.
And so I came home, told my wife, I was like, you won't believe it. I said, you literally, you won't believe this. I saw a sign that said Roseburg Avenue. I don't know why. We've lived here for a year and a half in Portland. I've never seen that sign that says Roseburg Avenue. Never knew that street existed. And I just saw it. I was driving in my car. So I guess we're moving to Roseburg. And anyways, long story short, we've been here 8 years. I love it. Just like the power of community, kind of like y'all have shared, like being in one spot for a little while, having relationships and communities just like completely changed, my life, as opposed to trying bouncing around to different locations.
Right.
Moving really taxes the crap out of you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it does, man. But yeah, that's a great story. It's funny about those signs. They're there for a reason though, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, at Roseburg Avenue. Can't make it up. Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, thank you guys for being on the podcast. It's been a lot of fun. It truly, like, this conversation is inspiring to me. What can I do to raise my kids more intentionally is kind of my big takeaway with this. And as another side note, congrats, Johnny and Chriselle, on y'all being married for over 15 years. That's amazing in today's day and age.
Thank
We
you.
actually married 9, going on 10.
We've been married 9, but together 15 years.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
15 years, so yeah, absolutely.
We've
So,
had our moments, right? It's
yeah.
by far not a perfect marriage, but we keep working on it.
Oh, it's cyclical, and there's never this
Yeah.
point where it's like, oh, I got it figured out, and the rest of marriage is going to be easy. You think that,
Yeah,
and it's
nope.
like, no, always something hard coming back up. Yeah.
Yep.
It's always
And
a
then his
challenge.
13-year-old personality doesn't help.
That's
true.
why you're the rails for this whole operation.
I think this is what makes it fun. It's my 13-year-old personality. If it wasn't for me, this family would fall apart. I'm the one that, me. It's funny because my 8-year-old is just like me too. He's crazy, wild. He always does whatever anything to make us laugh. Chris is actually picking up on that as well. He was really not funny at all, and now he wasn't. He was not funny.
Christian, do you accept that criticism?
No, he's funny now. He's funny now, but
now he's very funny. Yeah.
Yeah, now he's hilarious. Like his delivery, he worked on his delivery on things, and now it's just like every day we laugh a lot. That's one thing about us. We can't stay mad at like each other. Like I can't stay mad at Christian or my other kids. It's lasts for like 5-10 minutes, and right away, hey son, I love you. You know why I did this. I'll talk to him, whatever the case may be. But yeah, no, we laugh a lot. We enjoy our times together, and I think that's what helps us work together really well as well.
Yeah, that can't be understated. There's a lot of value to that. There's a lot of magic to that. Just being able to have fun and just laugh some things off like that. That's huge. Oh man. Well, you got me to laugh. So I think that's funny. That's good. Well, thank you guys again. Everybody listening, go to carrot.com/impact for this month. Check out all of our other content we have coming out. And if you got value out of this, share it with someone. If you have a spouse, or if you have a kid, or you know of a family or someone that might benefit from this episode, share it with them. And yeah, I can't wait to see where you guys are at in a few years, where this operation's at.
Yeah, let's do it again. Let's check up on us and see where we're at, and so we can do it again. Hopefully, we have a little bit more value for you guys. Get a little bit more. Hopefully, get better at this podcast stuff.
No, it's great. First time on a podcast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Grisel's a natural. She's a natural. Kristen's a natural. I'm like I said, I'm just out there doing things. I'm the one that makes the ideas, and I have the ideas, and I try to make it happen.
No, it's great. You killed it, man. Well, thank you guys, and everybody listening and watching. We will see y'all next week. See you later.